Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Blessing in Divorce. And today we're going to focus on healing, kind of like we always do. But I have to tell you, when I first came up with the idea for this episode, I didn't know what to call it. So let me explain why. First of all, this is the beginning, or rather the introduction of a bit of a summer series that I'm going to do for the next few weeks. And of course, as always, I want to focus on your healing and your well-being. So originally, when I thought about the idea for this, I wrote down the title of 5 things that slow down your healing during divorce and other challenging life moments. But it didn't sit right with me because I thought, well, that's very negative. 5 things that hold you back. I need to focus on the 5 things that move you forward. So whichever way you want to look at this, I am going to be talking about the 5 things you can do, or the 5 areas of your life that you need to focus on so that you can move forward with your healing and your life. But underneath those, we do need to talk about what's holding you back, right? So that we have an understanding of what's going on and how we can heal better and move forward a little bit faster. I seem to be having trouble with my words today. So like I said, this is going to be a bit of a summer series. We're going to have a total of 6 episodes to focus on this. Today is introductory episodes, and then there will be 6 episodes coming after this. And hopefully by the time I get into these episodes, my words are coming out a little bit better and easier and not so incorrectly. I don't know. Anyway, please stick with me as we talk about, or as I talk about, the 6 things that can slow down your healing and how we can make them speed up your healing when you're going through divorce and other challenging life moments. Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Blessing in Divorce. I am so grateful to be allowed into your headset and day today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm the host of this podcast and the owner and founder of The Separation Club, which is the club you never wanted to be part of, but the best club to be in if you're going through separation and divorce. Here we talk about how to heal, move forward, and find love if you're so inclined. Also, motherhood through divorce, finding yourself, and creating the life you deserve. Our tools are community, sisterhood, honesty, vulnerability, spirituality, and coaching. And that's when we aren't talking to our experts. I'm also a divorced mother of 4 adult sons, remarried, and a stepmom to 3. So we will be talking about everything that goes with all of that here. If you are recently separated, thinking of separating, divorcing, or even beyond your divorce, but still feeling it, then this is the podcast for you. So this summer series that I'm kicking off is going to discuss each of these subjects in detail. Today, I just want to give you an overview. I want to tell you what these topics are going to be, how they flow. And I also want to recognize that they're not in any particular order. Just because I have them labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, doesn't mean that this is the order that life and healing and whatever progresses in. Everybody's different. Everybody goes through this in different ways. You might jump around between 2 of them or have to go through all of them, and who knows in what particular way. I just know that these are areas in our life, or these are mindsets, or these are tools that are essential when it comes to healing and getting through this. Some of you will breeze through some of them, and others will get stuck on 1 or stuck on 2 or on all 5. But I promise you that today and mostly over the next 6 weeks, you are going to be getting so many tools to help you with all of this. I think you're going to walk away feeling a lot better prepared, and really already feeling better. So that is my hope and promise to you. That's what I want to do for you today and over the next few weeks. So I really hope you'll stick with me. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into this and start with the very first thing that I put on top of my list, because I kind of feel like it's an important part of getting into the healing, is that we need to identify or understand our own pain story. This is about you and your pain. After all, this is about what you're feeling. This is about what you're going through right now. The thing is that in many cases, when we are in deep pain, we tend to only see the origin of the pain as what happened to trigger this particular last episode of pain, the most recent pain story, if you will. And when I use the word story, I'm not saying that you're making things up or that there's anything invalid about it. This is just what we're calling it. You have a story, and it's painful. And that's what we're talking about today. So the pain story is, of course, if you're listening to this because you're going through divorce or thinking of divorce, or you just discovered someone's affair or something like that, then that is your pain story right now. The thing is, there's a reason why some people kind of stumble through their healing a little bit faster than others. There's a reason why some people get stuck in certain kind of pain more than others. And it has to do with an older pain story. If you have other pain in your life, if something traumatic has happened to you in the past, in your childhood, during your teenage years, maybe you were bullied in school, maybe you've had other relationships end really badly, maybe you've gone through some abuse, who knows? Everybody has different stories. When we go through something that is as traumatic as a divorce, as an end of a significant relationship, or other life challenges that we have, and we experience pain, like immediate pain when this happens, like emotional pain that can even manifest physically, it reminds our body of other pain we felt like this before, and it wakes up that pain too. And that only amplifies the pain you're feeling. So it feels even harder to get out of it. We get so stuck in it. And the only way that we can really move forward from that is to be aware of the other pain stories. So I just kicked off a course called The Healing Heart, and I will be launching it again in the fall. So keep your eyes and ears out for that. But that's one of the first things we talked about, was the pain story. And I know that some of those women had so many aha moments as I was challenging them to go back. And I know at first there was some resistance, because why do I want to think about old pain like that? Why do I want to go back to something that hurts so much? And it's not so much that I want you to go back and live in that pain. It's more that I just want you to be aware of it and to see it and to understand to what degree it's showing up again, and to what part does that old story play in your new story. Is there a reason that this pain maybe feels so huge for you right now? Could it have something to do with the old story? It's about gaining understanding and perspective. That's what this is. It's not about dismissing or invalidating. It's just identifying the pain, understanding where it's coming from, all the facets of it, because once we understand all that, then it is easier, if you will, to heal it, because we know what we're dealing with. We can kind of recognize it. There's a lot of pain that we go through in our life that we then never fully forget. And that's okay, because our body holds pain as well, right? And holds the memory of it. But if we can get to a place where we can recognize it and kind of go, okay, I see which pain story is showing up right now. Okay, so I can do this or this to calm myself or to feel better. And so, of course, I'm going to get into all those tools the week that we are discussing this, which will be the week of June 3rd, which is next week. So that'll be the first thing that I address. So number one is identifying the pain, and rather the pain story that's behind this. There's a lot of ego talk too. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you, because it's so insightful for so many areas of our life. The next one that I want to make sure we also address is grief. And grief is a huge part of divorce, and it's one that's not really addressed with that word, because grief tends to be reserved, if you will, or used more when we talk about loss in the form of death. But when we are losing a partner, whether it is to death or divorce, there is a loss and there is grief. There's loss of a lifestyle, of a family, of a unit, of a future. There are so many things that are disappearing as this relationship ends. And there's real loss and there is grief that comes with that. Now, we can get very stuck in this grief, and it can cause us to really ruminate on the past, this constant ruminating on what we're losing, which of course keeps us in the pain and our pain story. So you see how these are all tied together. There's going to be overlap here, of course. But it is important to understand that grief is a necessary part, really, of this journey, because grief, acknowledging the grief rather, allows us to also let go of it, to move past it, to recognize it, to heal it, and then move forward. When we are grieving something that has kind of disappeared out of our life, whether we're grieving the fact that our partner's no longer the person they used to be, whether we're grieving, like I said, the family unit, our future, our dreams, all the hopes that we had, all these things that thankfully can to some degree be replaced one day, and we can have new dreams and new hopes and a new family unit, whatever that might look like. I'm not necessarily talking about a new person. I'm just talking about, recreating your life and just, filling those voids again. But in the meantime, it is really important for us to recognize our grief, but to also notice if we're getting stuck in ruminating, like I said, about the what ifs and the why, because now we're getting more into a victim story than moving forward. Grieving is a necessary part, but it can't be the end line. It can't be our whole story, that we're just grieving forever. One of the big reasons that I wanted to do this work a long time ago was because as I went through my divorce and got past it and moved forward and healed and did all the things, of course, as I met other women in my work, I was in a different line of work back then. I was a personal trainer, actually, and I used to go into women's homes and I worked a lot on their physical healing. And as they learned more about my story, I heard a lot of stories about divorce and marriages that were in trouble and things like that. And what I noticed was that people love to go back to their pain story and retell their pain story. Not just say I went through that too, it was really hard, but I went through that and here's my horrible story and it was so bad. And so they constantly relive that pain, even though it might have been a decade or two since they went through it. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be telling my story as though it just happened 20 years from now, and I don't want to be in pain. And I was actually already feeling really good. Like my pain ended. I healed well. Let's put it that way. So I decided that I wanted to teach my story, my healing story, not every minutia of the details of what happened, but more about what I did to heal, and that if I can do it, you can do it. So that was kind of, where this particular episode will come from, and really the inspiration for why I'm doing this work. So anyway, that is going to be the second week of this series, talking about the loss, the grief that comes with that. That's normal, but also how we want to avoid ruminating too much and this getting stuck there. So one of the tools that we use, or a huge part of the healing that we in order for us to move forward, is number 3. And that is, we need to focus inward. Or if we're getting stuck, there's a lack of focus inward. So when I say focusing inward, of course, I am talking about getting to know ourselves. I think the most valuable thing that I got from my divorce, and yes, I am very grateful for my divorce. Do I think about it like, oh, thank God it happened? No, but I'm grateful for the things that I learned from it. And that's because I chose to do the work. I chose to go inward. So what did that mean? It meant that I spent a lot of time reflecting. I was very, very honest with myself. I took responsibility for my feelings and my choices and the things that I did and said. So this self-honesty, this kind of, like I said, this reflection, all led to this incredible journey of self-discovery. This is probably the most important part of a healing journey. In my opinion, it certainly was for me. What I learned about myself was invaluable. And what I also learned was the value of doing that work. So it's not like that's the only challenging thing I've ever gone through in my life. So as other things have happened in, this human experience that we're all on, going through life and dealing with crap that gets thrown our way, I keep going back to those tools. I keep going back and doing the things that I did then to get myself out of whatever it is that I'm going through, to learn, to discover who I am again, or to discover what part of myself needs to grow or learn or adjust or whatever. So this is really a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I am very very much looking forward to sharing this episode with you. That episode will be the week of June 17th. And yeah, it's going to be an inward journey, but it's going to be probably a little bit difficult to hear some of this stuff, because when I talk about like taking responsibility and being honest with yourself, that's not always easy work, but it's so valuable, and you're the only one that can do it. And if you don't do it, then there's something you're leaving on the table. There is healing left on the table. There's healing that will not happen if you don't do this work. This is how we get stuck. This is how we, don't learn the lessons, if you will. The things that we can learn so that we don't repeat patterns, repeat mistakes, things like that. So can't wait to share that with you. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 will be about, the fourth episode in this series will be about unrealistic or unmet expectations. When it comes to talking about expectations, we all have a lot of expectations in life. And this is another area where we tend to get into our ego, like life's supposed to be this way, or we're supposed to do this, or I'm supposed to feel this, or you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to treat me this way, all those expectations. So we have expectations of ourselves, which can often be way too high. But then we also will have expectations of others. And that's really where we get into trouble. The expectations we have of ourselves are problematic if they're unrealistic. Like if they are, we're expecting ourselves to be perfect and never have a bad day and never make mistakes and never have a problem in our life, that becomes problematic. But generally speaking, when it comes to our expectations of ourselves, we have control over that because we can actually just change that. That's what we control. What we don't control is other people and outside circumstances. So we really get into trouble when we start having expectations of our ex, or expectations of our ex-in-laws, or expectations of how things are going to play out in the situation, like in a divorce or a co-parenting situation, or what the kids are doing at your co-parent's house, or I don't know, any number of things that are outside of your control because they have to do with other people. So we need to develop realistic expectations of ourselves, and actually try to really limit having too many expectations of just about anything else. We need to put ourselves in a situation in life where we feel confident and masterful, and that we can handle whatever gets thrown our way. Lack of confidence, fear, all of those things cause us, or codependency, cause us to want to control outside situations, meaning outside people, so that we can predict what's happening and we can make our life so that we feel that we're capable of it. So I really again, such a valuable episode about feeling confident and masterful and really letting go of expectations of yourself and especially of others. So this is, again, a place where a victim mentality can become very, very apparent, meaning that we feel put upon. Why is life so unfair? Why am I the one having to deal with this? Why is everything bad happening to me? Why is this person treating me this way? That's a victim mentality. And I want to empower you to come out of that. I want to empower you to feel in control of your life. So this is going to be an incredibly valuable episode as well as we dive into it. The other one that I want to talk about, so now we're moving on to number 5, it's a lack of planning for the future. Maybe that should actually be number 6. I might switch those. I'm just realizing that now. But anyway, a lack of planning for the future. And what I mean about that is if you think about all the other things I've just talked about, we tend to focus on the past when we're going through divorce. This happened and that happened and I can't do this because so-and-so did this and blah, 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 right? We constantly talk about things that have happened in the past. We talk about the plans we had in the past for the future, and now none of those things can happen because of what just happened in the past, like in your marriage. The thing is, here you are. This is happening in your life, and you want to move forward. You want to create a new future for yourself. So the only way you can do that, it's not by looking backwards. You have to look forwards. You have to start making plans. You have to start visualizing what that might look like. You have to start dreaming, planning, getting excited, and believing that you can actually be happy again. So one of the things that can hold you back from healing is a lack of planning, a lack of dreaming, and a lack of visualizing the future. What's possible for you? What do you want? How can you make that happen? So this is kind of an exciting episode. This is really a forward-looking episode. And I think I've definitely decided it's going to be the last one in the series. So the last point that I want to make today is now going to be the second last episode. Anyway, you'll follow all of them, so you'll get all of it, okay? The last one that I want to mention today is fear. Fear is probably the biggest thing that holds us back from healing. Fear of everything. Fear of future, fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of not being loved, fear of unworthiness, fear of finances, fear of the unknown, fear of everything. It just paralyzes us. And it is completely normal to feel so much fear around divorce especially when this first happens. And then, of course, fear around the legal, component of it, because who the heck is a lawyer, right? Who knows what that's all about? That feels super scary. There's so much fear. There's fear on the other side too. The other person's going through the same and is causing us to be angry. So we're attacking each other and we're being hostile with each other. And that causes even more fear. And it's such a vicious cycle. And I really want to address the fear, but also give you the tools to overcome it, because fear is only an emotion. It's an imagined state. It is not based in reality. Back in when we were cave people, the fear that we felt was around, there's some kind of a dinosaur that's going to eat us, or a saber-toothed tiger or whatever. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's not the world we live in. We don't live in that kind of fear. We're thankfully privileged enough to live basically in a physically safe environment. And while I understand that there are exceptions to this around, domestic violence and stuff, that is not what I'm addressing today. The fear that I'm addressing today is that emotional fear of the what ifs. But like, what if I'm alone forever? What if I can't afford to support my kids? What if I'm homeless? These are fears, but they're not necessarily based in reality. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how to let go of it, overcome it, and so we can move forward, because it will stop you dead in your tracks every single day if you don't recognize it, if you let it stand in your way, and you don't learn to overcome it. So we're going to do that, okay? We're absolutely going to do that. So I'm really excited about this series. At first I thought I was going to do all of them in one episode, and that's going to be too long. And I'm just going to break it up, and we're going to talk about them separately. And you can listen to this while you're traveling or hiking or walking or, sitting on a plane or sitting on a train. I'm actually recording this as I am preparing to head off to visit my family in Norway. And then I'm going to Italy. I'm going to spend 5 days there on my own. And then I am kicking off the retreat that I'm running there, which I cannot wait. Several women from my community here in the Separation Club are going to be there, as well as other women. It is not a divorce retreat, but it is a retreat for women who want to do a lot of this work, like be mindful and get to know themselves and reflect on life and make plans for the future that are, whatever that might be. There are so many stages in a woman's life. Divorce is an unfortunate one that not every woman goes through, but many do. But there's things like empty nesting and retiring and relocating and maybe loss and grief and all of those things that cause us to need to adjust and recalibrate. And that is what I want to share with you in this summer series. So we're going to do all of that, and it'll all start next week. And we will get started with our pain stories. So I'm really looking forward to sharing all this with you and getting into this work with you. And I will also tell you, there's a reason I decided to kick off this series, because I am working on a brand new project, and it's kind of new and it's also old, but I'm resurrecting or relaunching or bringing back our membership. It is a small private community that I ran for 3 or 4 years, starting during COVID. And then I just realized it was no longer serving the community the way that they wanted it to be. So I decided to shut it down. I shut it down last fall, and I'm going to be bringing it back. So it's coming back. It's relaunching on the 1st of July. And I'm really excited about it. I've decided to leave the name the same. I can't decide on a new one, so maybe I'll change it down the road, but it's going to be called Rising Free. It still feels so appropriate and so perfect for the journey that we're all on here. So the membership is going to be structured in a way that I will have guest speakers every month. There will also be like a coaching or healing call with me every month. These are separate calls. And then there's going to be other content that will also be available to you, whether it's a recorded video or a workbook or some other tool to help you on your journey. And there will be different themes every month. So the structure is going to be a little different. Like I said, for those of you who've heard about or been part of it before, you might find it different. So definitely check it out. But it was while I was planning that this series came to me, because of course I was writing down like, what are the monthly themes going to be and what do we want to focus on? And I was contacting some pretty amazing women who are going to be sharing their stories, their expertise, their insight on the things that you need to heal, to overcome, and to move forward and have the most beautiful life, regardless of the mess you're going through right now. I'm going to have family lawyers, mediators, psychotherapists, women who have their own story and have created their own incredible programs and, whatever expertise out of all of this. There are so many women out there who have so much to share that's of value when you're going through something like this. And I'm going to be bringing them in. You'll be able to ask them questions to hear their wisdom. And I am so excited to share this new journey and this new version of Rising Free with you. So anyway, as I came up with all these topics, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start off by sharing it with you here, because you are my listeners, you're my people, you come and join me every week here. And I'm so, so grateful for all of you doing that. So I want to share with you first, and you'll be hearing more about it over the next 6 weeks. So that's how this all got started. But make a note, Rising Free relaunches on July 1st. You're going to be hearing about it quite a bit. But I think you're going to want to jump in. So things will be different. Things are going to be better. More what you're looking for now. During COVID, we were just looking for somewhere to hang out together. People don't need that anymore. You want to pop in for wisdom, for learning, for something specific. You want tools. You want to grow. And I want to do that with you. That is what I'm here for. That's what we're doing. This is a self-discovery journey. This is a healing journey. This is a joyful journey. In the show notes below, there will be a link for you to sign up for like a wait list so that you can be the first to know when we launch, so you won't miss out. I am pretty sure there's going to be some launch specials, so I want to make sure that you don't miss out on that. We're going to do this together. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to stop talking and let you get on with your day. I think you're amazing. I love you. I love you big time, and have the most beautiful day. And I will see you here next week. Thank you for letting me be in your headset and take up some of your time today. I am truly grateful.